Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on activating youth to tackle big issues. My name is Scott Gansky, and I am the Director of Education at YSA, and I'm joined today by Amanda Villacorta, our Director of Grants, and also Mike Minks, our Director of Outreach. Give you a little overview of what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk a little bit about what we do here at YSA, give you an overview of our campaigns, which include Global Youth Service Day, Semester of Service, and Service Vote. We're also going to go over some of the different grant opportunities that we have here, including some of the deadlines and some of the basic components that will be very helpful. We're also going to discuss some of the resources that we provide here at YSA, and throughout the entire process, we'll give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you may have.
At the top, you can see our mission statement of YSA. Within all of the campaigns, grants, resources, programs, everything we do, we really try to focus on these three key areas that you see listed here. Some of our programs focus more on student achievement than maybe, say, workforce readiness, and other programs kind of, emphasize perhaps maybe in stronger communities than within student achievement. So we really do try to offer a variety of programs that meet schools, organizations, youth, sort of where they are, so that they're able to impact these key areas along with YSA.
So the way that we support the field in working towards those three goal areas is our program model. And we really do four major things here at Youth Service America. We activate through our campaigns, so the Global Youth Service Day, Semester of Service, and Service Vote, the idea of engaging young people in service and doing that through schools and community organizations where youth are at. We fund schools, youth, and organizations with over $1 million a year in grants. We train with our different online resources, webinars, in-person trainings, conferences, which we'll tell you a little bit about. And then finally, we recognize and really shine the spotlight through some of our different award programs on the great work that young people are doing to really raise awareness of the work. So we'll, as you saw in the outline, really be going through how we activate, how we fund, and how we train in the presentation today.
One of the big things that we say around here at YSA is if you don't have a youth strategy, you don't have a strategy at all. And the reason why we say that is because, honestly, we can't wait for young people to grow up before they start solving the problems of the world. The problems of the world, they're far too big, and we really need that energy, that creative energy, that spark that really youth have in their commitment to really solving those problems.
So moving into the first section, talking about our different campaigns. Global Youth Service Day is the oldest and the largest of our campaigns. Next year, you'll see the dates for 2013. GYC is always at the end of April, so it's just about a month ago this year. And next year will be April 26th through the 28th, and will actually be the 25th anniversary of Global Youth Service Day. So you can see on this slide a little bit of our preliminary report about what happened this year for Global Youth Service Day. So you can see some of the top states and the top countries, and that we had over 4,400 projects in over 106 countries on all 6 continents. We didn't quite crack Antarctica this year. Well, we're keeping working on it. And again, you'll also see the over $1 million a year that we gave out in grants to support projects and programs and schools and organizations planning for Global Youth Service Day. The best part about Global Youth Service Day is that anyone can do it, and it can be anything from a volunteer project, a young person doing a good deed on GYSD, to a community service project where youth are really leading and planning the project, to a high quality service learning program in schools, to using it as the culmination for a semester of service that we'll talk about. Because the Global Youth Service Day is as much about highlighting and recognizing and celebrating the great work that we all do year-round, and really using a global event like this to raise that public awareness about our collective work, as it is about engaging young people in service. And we want both of those things to happen on GYSD. So save the date for 2013, and then if you look at the next slide, you'll see a screenshot of the Global Youth Service Day website. So if you go to www.gysd.org, you'll see all of the information about Global Youth Service Day. That's where you'll be able to register and let us know that you are getting involved next year. And for now, you can see the map for this year and lots of pictures and lots of exciting stories about everything that took place this year. And then as we go throughout the year, that's where all of the resources will be and how to get involved in all of that. So if you're interested in participating in Global Youth Service Day and using it as a way to engage your students or to highlight your programs, gysd.org is really your go-to resource throughout the year.
So as Mike mentioned earlier, really for our programs, a big part of this is really the process in which the students and the youth are serving. And a strategy for us is really the semester of service. And research convinced us that really service takes place, quality service takes place over an extended period of time, at least 70 hours. And what's great about our semester of service program and format is that it allows the teacher and the student and the youth and the organizations to really go through the entire process in a way where everybody feels comfortable and they feel like it's a nice timeline that you can follow. The way that the framework works, as you will look at this chart here, is there's different ways that you can start. It really centers around some different seasons of service. So if you look in this case, you could start a project on GYSD and then maybe it would end on 9/11 Day of Service. And then some of our fall programs will start on 9/11 Day of Service and do some sort of a culminating event on MLK Day of Service. Part of our spring semester, as you will look at it, you could do some sort of a launch or a kickoff for MLK Day of Service, and then the big culminating event on GYSD. It allows you that flexibility. We know that different organizations, different schools that we work with, they run around different, different schedules. It might be more convenient to do it in the summer, the fall, or the spring. It's also important to mention that for our semester of service, we often do see grantees and teachers and organizations go throughout the entire year. That's something that we actually encourage if you are doing it, but you can extend that over a period of time. Three things that we do focus on for a semester of service. We do want to make sure that it is meaningful service, that the students and the youth are doing something that actually is going to make an impact on the community. It's also the duration intensity, which I started off with, is making sure that you're actually putting in that quality time, building in reflection, so they know that they can actually they know the difference that they're making, and a connection to the curriculum. I want to make sure that it doesn't have to be 1,000 different standards, but even if it's one standard that they're looking at throughout the entire experience, it just makes it the whole thing worthwhile.
Here at YSA, we work and promote what we call the IPARTSI model, and this is a great planning tool that we use internally, and we also encourage our schools, grantees, youth that we work with to use when they are looking at different service opportunities in their community. It starts with the I at the top of the circle that you see here, and that's really investigating within the community the issue area or cause problem that youth want to tackle in their community. It then goes down to preparation and planning, so that's really when the youth are starting to go through some project management tools, learning about putting together events, working with different partnerships, engaging elected officials, media, sort of doing all of the preparation to lead into an event or working on their service project. The A is for action, so that's actually when the projects are taking place. And the R for reflection is really what we like to incorporate throughout the entire process, so that youth are taking the time to reflect how this is affecting them, how it's affecting their community, and just really taking the time to let the process sort of sink in. And then wrapping up with demonstration and celebration. So we're really looking for youth to demonstrate what they've learned, what the impact and effect is or has happened on the issue or problem that they've been focusing on, and definitely celebrating their success and just all the great work that they have done.
And then finally, our election year campaign that we run every 4 years during the presidential election years is called Service Vote. And the idea behind Service Vote is to really connect young people's service and service learning to the electoral process with a couple of goals in mind. One is the civic education, civic engagement kind of elements of really teaching young people about the political process and our government and our system and how everything works and how they can be involved. And as a way of teaching those skills, having them actually be the ones to engage their peers and their neighbors and their families and their communities in the process. And then kind of as a second goal, really seeing elections as a really unique opportunity to do the kind of awareness, public education, and advocacy kinds of service learning projects. So kind of getting beyond the direct service or the philanthropy elements and really doing those public awareness, public education, advocacy kinds of projects, which again can happen anytime, but elections really offer a unique time to do those because the public and candidates and elected officials are paying attention. And so you'll see all kinds of the kinds of activities that we encourage programs and young people to do as part of their service learning work during elections. And if you go to ysa.org/servicevote, you'll see drafts of tip sheets guiding young people through each of these things, which we'll continue to update and publish over the summer. So as you head back to school or back to kind of the new program year in August and September, which of course is when people really start paying attention to the elections as we get closer in the fall, we'll continue to have lots more resources around this. So really encourage you to think about as you're engaging young people in service learning of how to connect that work to the presidential election, as well as local candidates in elections. But we do this during presidential election years because of all the extra attention that we kind of all pay.
So with that, we'd like to just take a minute to answer any questions that you may have. You can do that by typing in, there's a comment chat box on the side, so if you have any questions, please let us know.
So we do see a one question from Deanna about Service Vote. We kind of only officially run the campaign during presidential election years at YSA, but the idea and the resources are available at any point. So midterm election years is great, and then we obviously know that lots of local elections happen even in the off years, even between those. So yeah, the program resources remain available all the time. We just kind of do our big campaign really calling on that during presidential election years.
Okay, so it doesn't look like we have any questions right now, so we're going to move on here.
The next area that we wanted to touch on and share with you about is our grants that we offer. Down at the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see our website, ysa.org/grants. And this is a great place to go to see what grants we have available at any given time. The website's actually divided up into two sections, so you'll see all of the grants that we offer, but at the top of the page you'll see those that we have open and are currently accepting applications for. Up here on the screen you'll see the three different areas or sort of categories in which we promote our grant programs. We're going to actually jump into these a little bit more over the next few slides to actually share some details of programs we currently have open. But as you can see here, we have our school grants that are really focused on K through 12 schools and engaging teachers and students within the classroom. We have our organizational grants, which are really for organizations statewide and even local that are working with youth. And then we have our youth grants that are really for youth directly to apply for grants themselves and implement their own service projects.
So the first grant that we're going to talk about is the State Farm Good Neighbor Student Achievement Grant. And that actually just launched last Friday. We're really excited about this, especially if you look at the student achievement part of the grant. That's something, that real strong connection to the curriculum is something that we look for along with the meaningful service and duration and intensity. This grant is a $1,500 grant with $500 of those dollars going to a regional training. A regional training is something new that we're offering this year. It will be held in select locations or around the U.S. Based on, and we'll let you know as that process goes through. But ultimately, that's really about youth leading service learning initiative, letting them take over the process. You're eligible if you're a K through 12 public school in all 50 states, District of Columbia, Canadian provinces, Alberta, Ontario, and New Brunswick. We're going to have that deadline for that one is going to be July 31st, 2012. Some of the things also, as I mentioned, that strong connection to curriculum. We just want to make sure that there are some career and workforce, 21st century skills that you're including in there. That's a big component of that as well. And just making sure that the students are involved in the entire process. And with all of these grants, it's important to remember that as you're applying and going through the process, to just call us if you have any questions, call or email, because we really are there to support you throughout that entire process. The Sodexo Foundation School Engagement Grant, another very exciting opportunity that's in K through 12 schools. That is a $5,000 grant, which also includes transportation to our Youth Service Institute, which is going to be held in Houston this year. The major priority for that we want to focus on, and you're going to want to make sure that is the primary focus, is on childhood hunger. So you're going to want to make sure that is the central issue, along with the other components that I addressed earlier with our State Farm grant, making sure that it's meaningful service, connection to curriculum, and that real duration and intensity that's going on for a period of time. And the deadline for that grant application is also July 31st of this summer.
And the next 3 slides will really get into our different organization grants, the lead agencies and the lead organizer programs. And the way that these programs really work is for citywide, regional, or statewide organizations or associations. So we see a wide variety of applicants and grantees in these pools, everything from state service commissions and volunteer centers to schools or school districts to youth development organizations, faith-based organizations, higher education, campus service centers, really anyone, as long as you have kind of a leading role in the community and have the partnerships, because one of the key requirements to all 3 of the programs is to work with at least 10 different community partners in different sectors, because we really want the grantees in these 3 pools to really act as the coordinators and conveners around these different campaigns and days of service, and really use it to again highlight, enhance, build, strengthen the existing programs that you already have. So the first of these 3 programs is the Sodexo Foundation Lead Organizer Program. It includes a $2,000 grant as well as the travel stipend to attend for one person to attend the training at the Youth Service Institute in October. The primary requirements are 600 youth volunteers engaged over the program cycle, and engaging those volunteers through your programs, as well as those community partners that I talked about. The issue focus for the Sodexo grants, just like the school grants, is the issue of childhood hunger. So we have this program kick off in November during National Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week, and then with programs going through the year, culminating on Global Youth Service Day. And the deadline for this one is July 15th. The next organization grant program that we have is the Global Youth Service Day Lead Agency Program. And there are 100 spots in this program this year. So on average, a couple per state. So we usually look for the kind of the largest metro areas, as well as a statewide group. This also includes the $2,000 grant and the travel stipend for one person to attend the Youth Service Institute, which includes travel, registration, and lodging. There's no issue requirement on this one. So it's the 600 youth volunteers through those 10 community partners addressing any issue, service or service learning, and really organizing some signature projects or celebration events on Global Youth Service Day itself, and then taking the lead on engaging local media and elected officials. The lead agency program is really the closest thing that we have at YSA to having affiliates or chapters, and so when you think about applying, that's the kind of type of model that we're looking for in this grant program. And then our final organization grant program that we have open right now is the MLK Day Lead Organizer Program, which is pretty similar to the other programs, only for MLK Day instead of Global Youth Service Day. This grant is larger, $4,000, but so is the volunteer requirement. We actually require 3,000 volunteers for this one, which we know is a lot, but it can actually be youth or adult volunteers in this case. Because we're really encouraging family volunteering or students in service learning programs to then engage their families in kind of the service project element. So we're looking at both youth and adult volunteers for the MLK Day program. This one's also open to any issue area. We do have a preference and actually require at least one of the projects being done to focus on the issue of veterans and military families, both serving that community as well as engaging veterans and military families in the programs. And the deadline for this, just like all three of our organization grant programs, is July 15th this year. And that is the last of our organization grants.
I'll touch real briefly on our youth grants, which are coming soon. We currently don't have any programs, grant programs open that are focused and open just for youth to apply. Later on this summer and leading into the fall, we'll have our Sodexo Foundation youth grants, which are focused on childhood hunger. So we're asking youth to apply for a grant to be used focused on childhood hunger and sort of those issues in their community. Our United Health Heroes grant program is focused on childhood obesity, and that is open to organizations, schools, youth themselves to apply for the grant and carry on from for about 3 months. We're really looking for activities that can be sort of working on childhood obesity issues within their community. And then later, kind of leading into winter, we have our Disney Friends for Change grants that open up, and these are open to any type of issue or problem, cause that youth want to be engaged in and sort of solve in their communities. So open-ended, but all three of these are U.S.-based grant programs. And as I mentioned before, on our website, ysa.org/grants, you'll see more information and when these do become available.
And just to kind of go back and what I was talking about earlier is we really want to be there, or we really are there for you throughout the entire process. I've been a grantee before as a teacher, and one thing I can say about YSA is that we really do go above and beyond when it comes to helping you throughout the entire process. So just remember that when you do have a question, you just email or you call us and let us know, because we really do want to help. And that being said, we do have a couple of questions that have been coming through, and really appreciate that you guys are doing that throughout. This is really helpful. So we'll address some of those right now.
One of the question is, how do you find out about a grant that you applied for? Go ahead and just email grants@ysa.org. And just share which program you applied for, and we'll be happy to look that up and find out the status for you.
And we also had a question about whether if you could be a public charter school. And Dana, if you don't mind sending me an email, my email address, sgansky@ysa.com. If you could just send me a little bit more information about your school, I can get back to you with a direct answer, just to make sure that we're real clear on where you're at there, but shouldn't be a problem.
And that question also depends on the different programs.
Yeah.
For example, I know that the requirements for the State Farm school program are different than the Sodexo school program. So that's one where Scott could, once he knows a little bit more about the specific school and which program you're interested in, would be able to better answer those questions.
Maureen, you had a good question about whether it could be an after-school, an extracurricular club, and the connections to the classroom standards. We often have grantees that have an after-school club, and I would challenge you to find some objectives. Many of our after-school clubs, if not all of them, are able to find specific objectives that they can tie things into. And if you're looking for those types of things, if you're looking for specific ones and you do have questions if they would fit within the criteria we've set forth, like I said, just feel free to call or email regarding that.
The next question is about any international opportunities, as we were talking about the organization grants for the U.S. Right now, the ones that we have open are only for the U.S. and for the lead agency one, those provinces in Canada. We do have both organization grants internationally. We'll open our regional partner grant for international work in a couple of weeks. And then we have a country partner position, which currently isn't funded, but is kind of an official partner program application as well. So we do have kind of official partnership and grant opportunities internationally as well for GYSD. And then we also have some of the other grant programs, like the Disney program that Amanda talked about, that we run in different regions of the world, as well as things like our Get Your Good On program, which just closed last week, which is open internationally. So we do have some of those project-based grants available through some different programs throughout the year as well. So the best place to kind of keep up to date on all of that is that ysa.org/grants. And then we'll talk about some of our newsletters when we get to the resources later on. We announce everything there. But we do have some international opportunities. We certainly have a lot more in the U.S. Than we do internationally, but definitely some international opportunities to look at. There was another question about if a state commission applies, if a grantee or a partner organization could apply for a different grant. Yes, any organization can apply as long as you fit the eligibility requirements for the different programs. So kind of the relationship between organizations doesn't matter for us in terms of eligibility. And actually, a same group or organization can actually apply for multiple grants as long as you can meet the requirements and are engaging different groups of students on different projects for the different grants. You can actually apply for multiple YSA grants as well. So it kind of doesn't matter if you're affiliated with someone or have a kind of a partner relationship with someone else who is applying, as long as you meet the requirements of the program and are interested, go ahead and apply.
The next question says, can you give some helpful tips helpful tips for the actual grant application? What are the make or break aspects that you look for within the applications? Two things that come to mind. I would say for most of our grant programs, we typically offer Q&A sessions or webinars specifically about the grant program. So when we're accepting applications, we give time for our applicants to learn more about the program and ask questions directly to YSA staff. So within each grant program, I would say look for that type of information so that you can attend and actually look for and be able to ask about what we're looking for within the application. The other piece I would say is that with each of our applications that we put out, we actually share the scoring rubric that we use internally and with our reviewers, sometimes externally, to actually score the applications. So that's a great tool to use. It lines up very nicely with the questions that you're being asked in the online application, and you can look and see the types of scores that we would give for the different responses.
The other thing as you're thinking about applications is going back to the IPARDC process that we talked about a little bit earlier. Almost all of our grant applications follow, the questions are organized within that format. And so the idea is that by the time you've finished one of our grant applications, you actually have a plan for your program or for your project. And so if you kind of put the thought into that and have the detail, whereas we read through and see kind of the project plan as part of your answers, and see that it will be a successful project. Kind of overall, I think that's one of the keys for us, and hopefully for you as you're planning, seeing the application itself as much of a planning tool for you as it is an application.
Okay, there's another question about Girl Scouts applying. Really, if this is for the school grant, it would be the school and the teacher that is applying for the grant. So I'm not sure if you probably wouldn't be eligible for this particular grant, but we do offer grants in the future. So in that case, we can send you some of those as they come out. And YSA.org/grants, if you go there, also signing up for the NSB, which we'll talk about later, we'll definitely let you know which of those you would be eligible for.
Yeah, so Girl Scouts are definitely eligible for the organization grants,
yes,
if you can reach the scale requirements. And then obviously for the youth grants, those ones that Amanda talked about, Girl Scouts or other youth development or community-based programs are certainly eligible for those as well. It's just the school grants that we really need it to be kind of in a school setting. But we know that a lot of those after-school and community-based programs also operate in partnership with schools. So if you're in a situation where you are kind of based in a school or working with a teacher, and obviously, if it's connected to curriculum and you have standards, content standards that you're aligned with, that it could be an option. That's one of those where, you just have to look at the requirements and if in doubt, ask Scott.
Exactly. Okay. So we're going to move on, and those are wonderful questions. Thank you guys so much. So as we mentioned earlier, we do have some resources, some free resources actually, that are extremely beneficial to you as you go through the process, and maybe you just need that extra kind of kick, that extra little kind of push in the right direction. One of those is our semester of service strategy guide, which we have a new one that's out right now, very exciting. Really the up-to-date, it has the dates that have seasons of service, and it really breaks down the IPARDC process in a way that makes sense for an educator to really look through and go through the entire process. And then we also have various other resources that you can include.
Mm-hmm. So in addition to the Semester of Service Guide, we have a poster for Global Youth Service Day and for Semester of Service. And you'll see this year's, the 2012 posters on the screen. We'll have the 2013 versions out by the fall as folks head back to school and begin the new program year in the community. And then we have the Global Youth Service Day Toolkit, which is really the nuts and bolts of how to put together a great service or service learning project, the event portion. So if the semester of service guide really is the larger semester of service, really high quality service learning, and really designed for educators or for the adult program leaders, the Global Youth Service Day Toolkit is really much more of a hands-on kind of project implementation guide that can really be turned over to young people as they're planning. And they all have lots of attachments and Google Docs and related downloads. And these are only 4 of our biggest resources. There are lots more on ysa.org/resources, including some issue-specific things. We have some resources around the environment, around childhood hunger, around childhood obesity, around malaria, really lots of different issues. And so if you go to ysa.org/resources, you'll be able to kind of browse through. There's kind of a slideshow of all of the covers of all of the resources, and everything there is available for you to download for free. And then later in the summer, as we get all of next year's resources finished and up, you'll also be able to order the printed versions of the resources that we have printed, so the Global Youth Service Day poster and a shorter version of the toolkit, as well as that semester of service guide that Scott talked about. And those are also free. We even ship them out to you for free. So all you'll have to do is go on the website. There will be an order form there, and you just submit your request, and we get that taken care of and out to you. And again, that order form is not there now because we just kind of wrapped up this last year. But again, kind of over the summer and into the fall, as we get all of the kind of 2012, 2013 school and program year resources updated and printed, that order form will be available.
So another exciting thing that YSA offers annually is the Youth Service Institute. This year, the Institute will be held in Houston, Texas, from October 17th to the 19th. And as we mentioned earlier, even some of our grants actually do allow that opportunity for our grantees to attend free of cost, but we will be sharing more information about the actual institute as it comes up. It's such a great opportunity for organizations, people interested in service and service learning to really get together. A thing we take a lot of pride in is the fact that people get to network with one another, get to know people from other places around the country. And then go to various tracks where it doesn't, different levels where you can be an expert or you could be new to service or service learning. Really, there's always a place for you. And there's also opportunities for participants to go on an off-site project where they can really see what service looks like and actually participate on it in it themselves. We also break down a lot of the things that we're showing today in this short amount of time. We really get to do deep dives, so you actually get to look into it and really meet with some of the experts within that area. And then a couple other things.
The one way to really think about the Youth Service Institute is as really a planning training. It's much less of a kind of a traditional conference as it is an opportunity to, again, be inspired, kind of hear the message, network, learn with an eye towards really planning for the year ahead. And in that way, it's actually a really, really nice kind of bookend to the year with the National Service Learning Conference, and the great work that NYLC does in hosting that. So we really encourage folks to maybe think about if you come to the Youth Service Institute in the fall to really kind of kick off the year, plan for the year, get that training, and then really use kind of the Service Learning Conference towards the end of the year as really that time to recognize, celebrate, demonstrate, share your work, and plan for the next year. So it's a really nice kind of bookend kind of event to the great the Service Learning Conference that we all love to go to. And the next resource that we have for you is the National Service Briefing, which I get to send out every Thursday night, and it really is a resource for the field. So unlike a lot of other kind of organizations' newsletters, we always do include a piece of YSA news at the top, but most of the content in there really is news from the field, and so it will always have kind of the latest program and campaign news from different organizations out there. There's a grants and awards section that has at least 4 grants or awards every week. We recognize an everyday young hero in the briefing each week. And then there's a section of resources and trainings and research kind of pieces. And then finally, the updated service calendars of conferences and events and the seasons of service. So if you don't already receive the briefing, you aren't one of those 40,000 plus people, it's really easy to sign up. All you have to do is go to ysa.org/NSB. And you'll see the archives there of all of the latest issues, as well as at the bottom of every single page on our website, you'll see a little sign up for our email newsletters box. All you have to do is put in your email, and then it'll give you a list of the options, and you just check National Service Briefing, and we'll get you added. There's also a grants alert version of the briefing that goes out once a month that is just only grants and awards. And kind of compiles all of the grants and awards that have been in each week in the briefing into one email each month that just has all of those grants and awards, both from YSA and anything that we have from our partners and from the field. So if there is a resource or a grant or a program that we think you should be aware of, this is how we get it out to you. So go ahead and sign up for that.
Okay, so looks like we may have a couple questions here coming in. So please let us know if you have some more questions here. We're happy to answer them. We still have a little time here, so let us know if you have any. Yeah, it's important to also mention as we're going through these that a recording of today's webinar is going to be posted on the Generator School Network. So that's www.gsn.nylc.org, and then you're going to receive a link following this webinar, just to make sure that you guys are aware of that. And we really do want to thank NYLC for inviting us to facilitate this webinar. It's just been such an honor, and we're very very thankful. And we have a question about. Okay.
Yep. So the relationship between YSA and the National Youth Council, we are both kind of partners of each other. So we're supportive of each other's work and do lots of things like this webinar where we try to promote each other's work. We're obviously the field kind of struggling with the loss of Learn and Serve and kind of other organizations. The role of both NYLC and YSA is to support the field and support each other in doing that. So there's kind of not any official kind of funding relationship or anything like that, but we're strong partners with each other and want to support each other's work and grantees and partners. So. Mm-hmm. That's a great question from Maureen about if we have any other strong partnerships. YSA actually works with about 200 national and global organizations. Obviously, the relationships with all of those are very different from each other, and some are really strong, like the one that we have with NYLC. And some others really are kind of cross-promotional. You can see a list of all of those partner organizations at ysa.org/partners, and then you'll see the different tiers of our partnership structure. So you can click on the national and global partners page. But what you'll see is kind of lots of the big national issue-based organizations, all of the big youth development organizations like the 4-H's and Boys and Girls Club and Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and 4-H and all of those kind of organizations. You'll see lots of educator and administrator associations and organizations, faith-based organizations, government agencies, really kind of pretty much anyone you could think of. again, the idea is that YSA does not have our own members or chapters or affiliates. We really are here as a resource center, offering our campaigns, our grants, and our resources to anyone that can use them. And so we really use those national partnerships as a way to reach their networks and make sure that they're aware of our programs, which is why we love doing things like this webinar. Well, Sky, if you want to go back to the slide that has all of our emails, if anyone else has any other questions as they're thinking about, feel free to contact any of the three of us. Our emails are all there. So unless anyone has any other immediate questions for today, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up.
Thank you.